It's an
I think we
insane,
should
it's a
wait.
crazy thing to say.
All right.
Oh
It's a
no.
All right. I
crazy thing
can't
to
even
say.
start the show. You guys already hijacked. Like, I can't even start. I can't even start before you
Go
guys start. I
ahead.
was like, let's introduce the show and then you guys can start bickering. And you guys were both like, no, let's bicker without introducing anything. Go ahead. Just do whatever you want.
No, no, please, Mina. Go ahead. Take control back.
Take
So
control.
this is I Mustache You Something, and this is a hot episode because Ralph and Mitch already started bickering over text, and we I don't even really care about the actual topic that you guys are bickering about. What I think is hilarious is that Mitch is getting all bent out of shape and upset because Ralph is pushing his buttons on purpose. So, Mitch, why are you letting him do that?
I think that bullies, when they like put like flippantly make claims that
There's
they
the
don't
flippant
have any,
use.
that don't have any actual background or study, like, or have like aren't even in part of this fight because you guys are Coptic, Catholic, make flippant comments, then you should be shut down. That's what I think.
I was
And
just
I will do
reading,
that 100% of the time,
I was just
always, the rest
reading,
of my life.
I was just reading quotes that have been
Yeah,
attributed
yeah.
to Pope Benedict.
So
That's
cool.
all.
So from here on out, the new rule is we can do out of context quotes with no
It's not out of
background, and
context.
we'll just
It's
like
not out of
totally accept that.
context. It's not out of context. He said that the term co-redemptrix could mislead some people, and it's new
And
to the
he's a
church, and the church fathers never used it, and the Bible never said it. So I mean, it was good enough for
wait.
good
So
old
wait,
Ratzinger.
time
It's
out.
good enough for me.
So you're saying that you're Protestant because the Bible never said it? I don't understand.
That, I'm,
No,
you
I'm
know what?
confused. Is it Novus
Right,
Ordo situation or?
do a special novena for to Ratzinger and see if he responds. Don't ask me. I don't
I'm
have a
confused.
horse in this
So
race.
we're saying that because it's
Oh my
sola
God.
scriptura from here moving forward. Is that what we
No
need to
one
do? I'm
ever,
just confused.
no
I just
one
need to
talked
understand
about
what you're trying
sola
to say.
scriptura.
Well, you said it
Listen
wasn't
to
in
me,
the Bible, so I'm just trying to
right?
understand where you're coming
Right.
from.
Ask Ratzinger what he meant. All the quotes I've been able to find are Cardinal Ratzinger before he became Pope Benedict, and I don't think his mood changed after that. Was very wary of the term co-redemptrix. That's all.
Dude, as we all
And
are,
your church is
because
about to decide. Your church is about to decide one way or the other.
they're gonna
So let's
double
just
down
wait.
that the word co is misunderstood in English,
All right,
and
let
and
it
a better
fine.
term is with. And I think that
Okay,
we
fine.
like if you
Whatever.
use like there's a
Let's just
heresy.
wait.
There's a heresy where the Catholic Church like shut it down years ago. And I'm not a Mariologist expert, so this is just some redneck's opinion of like my reading. Is like that shit was shut down a long time ago. And
Whoa.
excuse my language.
Expletive. There are
And
children watching.
we
Yeah,
no, there's
like
no yeah.
at least.
All
But
Mina's
my
children.
point is the extremist version where Mary is somehow equal to
Co-redemptrix.
Jesus. That's sure. Then that's not what it is. That's not what word co
I think it's
means.
appropriate that you have a big bull sitting behind you.
I think what I think
I
is
think that's
interesting is a
look
lawyer
behind you.
doesn't
There's a big
understand
bull.
Latin. That's
Look
what I
behind
find
you.
interesting. Like go back to your Latin class in college and
No,
look
I
up
took 2 years of
co
Latin in
and
Jesuit school.
see what well then go back because I need to talk to your professor if they're still
I don't
alive
need
because
I know
so
cum. I
old.
know what cum is. I know what cum
So
is.
okay, so we do know. Okay, so we know what means with.
You
Okay,
got
cool.
bull
Sharif,
We're good.
behind you.
Sharif, do you have
Whatever.
anything to either pacify or inflame the situation further? Sharif,
So we
anything?
know that we are co-heir with Christ, yes?
That's the Bible says that. So yeah, I assume so.
Here we
Bible,
go. Social
the
scriptura
church,
again.
No,
well, the fathers.
it's a term used by
I'm sorry, Sharif. I apologize.
So when if you go back to the chat, like sometimes we put our understanding on different theology based on what we understand, but we need to go and read what exactly the others are saying. Like, for example, the papal infallibility. I'm not
Here
trying
we go.
to divert here, but we as Orthodox, like, we grill the Catholic Church about the papal infallibility, while it's in a very um, regulated and very strict occasions, and it was invoked only 2 times. While we Orthodox will give infallibility to any quote unquote saint, without the rigorous and well organized way of discussion of dogma that's present in the Latin Church in the last maybe 60 years since, even more, since the First Vatican Council. Having said that, the term co-redemptor, I understand it as an Orthodox, and maybe Mary is a prototype for all humanity, and we are all sharing in the mystery of redemption. If we take communion, it's a part of our share as co-heir with
Hmm.
Christ in the mystery of redemption.
Yeah. And that's Saint Athanasius who says that, God is able to do it without us, but chooses not to, right? God gives us the free will, right? Where he can do it, but will not do it without our consent. So Mary's "Let It Be," which Father John Bear from Saint Vladimir's um, introduces as a concept of uh, our fiat with God. So everything else is created, uh, by fiat. Let it be, let it be, let it be. And humans are the ones that have to say, "Let it be," for us to co-create humanity with Christ. So I don't think that that's a crazy thing. I agree with Sharif.
And in the Coptic Theotokē, as I think of Monday or Tuesday, like Saint Mary gave Christ all mankind substance. I mean, I can correct me if I'm telling it wrong in English.
What's the verse that you remember?
So it was in either Monday or Tuesday, so Zacchaeus, that Saint Mary gave Christ all the humanity
Hmm.
substance. Maybe
Well,
the
here,
Actually,
translation is
so
not
this is
exact.
this is an interesting point that I think hopefully lands with people is that our Theotokeias are like incredibly powerful theological teaching tools, and we can go back to them and say, this is what we believe. And it happens to be that the Monday or Tuesday Theotokei are not Theotokeias that I prayed often. So most people are familiar with the Sunday. So Saturday nights is very common. Most people are familiar with Saturday. The Thursday, Friday night's very common. In Boston, we do the Thursday night. So the Friday Theotokeia commonly. I used to get together with a buddy of mine on Wednesday nights, and we used to pray at St. Mark's on Wednesday nights. So I'm familiar with the Thursday, and I think it's
Actually,
like a
this is from the Thursday, so Zacchaeus is a sixth part. She gave all the form of humanity with perfection to the Lord.
hmm,
So if we are Miaphysite or monophysite, whatever you call us, so
Mia.
the humanity shared in the salvation through Mary. So I'm not very sensitive to the term co-redemptor, although I'm aware of the Mariology behind it that I don't agree with as an
Hmm,
orthodox.
hmm.
And I'm not sure if this should be a very divisive, like, or a very hot topic for division. Because if we go to the background behind the Latin Church or the Church of Rome and the veneration of Mary, Gratia Clemes, and so on and so forth, it's not far away from the Orthodox. It's different, and I can stand for this difference,
Hmm,
but it's not like the total opposite.
hmm.
no, they're not opposites. We're Mitch is,
So what
maybe
are you doing,
50
Ralph?
years
You or
ahead.
what?
I'm what?
What are you doing actually?
What do you mean? I'm just sitting here talking about
No. So so
about
th- so this is
about a
the real
subject.
topic for today. So the real topic for today is
Good.
Ralph is
What Ralph is doing.
deliberately provoking like causing a problem for his own entertainment.
I
Now,
think we should have this will be much more fun after I think November 5th is the date that they're going to decide.
okay, sure, but like that you're talking about like the specific like subtopic of Mariology and this
Right.
issue. But my question, what I mustache you all, is at what point do you say this person's trying to get under my skin? It's not worth my time, or this person doesn't share the same values as me. So whether it's at work or at church and service, a friend, right? If people have different priorities, uh, I personally have gone through the ringer trying to get people to change their priorities, which is impossible, trying to frame my priorities as their priorities, right? Where, if I value something and I know they value something different, I'll present it to them as a value proposition based on what they value, not based on what I value. And that sometimes works. Most of the time, I just end up getting more frustrated. At what point to say, okay, this person values different things than I do. And in this case, Mitch has the opportunity to say, oh, Ralph is just trying to bother me for no reason. I'm not going to let him do that. Is that a valuable skill?
I don't know, Mitch.
I, again, if you want to start the four-letter word starts with S, that's fine, but be prepared for people to push back and for you to look like the jerk for starting it. As long as you're cool with that, that's fine with me, man. I'm
I'm
here to
I'm
party. Let's do
I'm
it.
listen to
Like
me.
I don't think anyone like that have would have like, hey, random thing from X. Oh, you're gonna be proved wrong here in a while.
It's not random.
We're
Wasn't
talking
random.
about two different things. The argument that the argument that Mary is not a co-redemptionist with like of some like the terminology sure is charged, but the idea behind it isn't true through revelation, tradition, the Bible itself
What's the idea
is
behind it?
is
Why don't you tell me
wild
what
to
the
me.
idea?
Like
What's the idea behind it?
if we can all agree. I mean, I have a question to start, like to back up. Do you guys agree the four Marian dogmas in the Catholic Church? Does the Catholic Church reject those or not? Because Teresa is something interesting. Where
The
like
Immaculate Conception? We don't agree with the Immaculate Conception.
And we don't agree with the assumption in body and soul.
you don't agree in assumption, you don't agree with Immaculate Conception, perpetual virginity. Are we good there?
Yeah, we're
Perpetual
good with that.
virginity, we agree.
Divine motherhood.
Yes.
Theotokos, right?
So Immaculate Conception,
That's actually a Alexandrian originated concept.
And it's not
sure,
in the Bible.
right. Sola Scriptura continuing in this wonderful
Oh,
couple
but the
chat.
church
Well, no,
fathers,
no, no.
but the church
No,
I'm with
fathers
opposite.
taught
you,
it.
No,
but
it's the opposite of sola scriptura. Would saying it is not in the Bible. It is a response to Nestorius by Saint Cyril that she
Right.
must
Okay.
do.
well,
Okay.
even before that, in Alexandrian theology, we have some second and third century hymns mentioning the word
Yes.
Theotokos.
Right.
So, well, I guess what I'm
And
saying
even
is it
Elizabeth said, "Who am I that the mother of my Lord?" I mean, it's not, it's not a far stretch
Yeah.
to take that understanding that Elizabeth had of who the Virgin was and
she didn't correct
extract.
her.
Yeah,
Mary
she didn't,
wasn't
of
like,
course
actually,
not.
I'm not. Yeah.
No, of course not, because she was
Yeah.
the mother of her Lord.
Hmm.
Right. So maybe, and this probably isn't helpful. So to answer your very simple question, Mina, is that's how I handle things, but it's probably not healthy to do so, but that's how I like will continue to do so. So, but to me, the actual tension here is, so I think that co-redemption, again, charge language, all the caveats, flows naturally and like concisely with the four Marian dogmas of the Catholic Church. So that's
You're
how
right.
I
It's a
get there.
slippery slope. It's a slippery slope. Once you've taken Immaculate Conception into bearing, I mean, what's there to stop you at co-redemptrix? I mean, geez, it is the natural progression of, that kind of reasoning.
But we step back a little bit from Immaculate Conception to even a more spicy topic.
Please.
Why the Catholic Church, or the Church of Rome, are very focused on the Immaculate Conception?
You're asking me to speak on all Catholics? Is that what are
No,
you
no,
trying? What's
no,
the
no, no.
What say you?
Like you, I understand, for example, you can defend Eucharist, you can defend Trinity, Incarnation, but Immaculate Conception, why Catholics are defending this? Because there is another more important issue behind it. And I think this will be a more spicy discussion. The issue
What is the
behind
issue
the
behind
Immaculate.
it? What is
What
the
is
issue
the issue
behind it?
behind it? Like we're all on the edge of our seats.
What's the issue behind it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the original sin. Peckham
Well,
originale.
yeah, Orthodox don't believe in original sin, so I mean,
Oh
Oh,
boy.
oh,
Wow. Well, this
oh,
is really,
oh, oh.
this is
Yes, yes,
really,
yes, yes.
I just got
Come
really
on, come on,
uncomfortable.
come on. Tell me.
yeah, we don't believe in original sin. So we
Who
believe in
are we?
the consequences of it. But I don't carry the sin of Adam in me. I carry the consequences of the sin of Adam in me.
Who
So,
are we?
okay, but
We,
Wait, is that
so
this is so this is
let's be
fascinating.
clear. So
I can no
what
longer go to Coptic church.
so hold on. What Sharif is doing actually
Yeah.
is just so
My
we're all clear,
favorite
just so
thing.
we're all on the up and up here. Mitch, he's creating this Catholic straw man,
Yeah, totally.
right? That has nothing to do with what he's actually doing. And what he's actually debating is an internal faction within the Coptic Church that is actually more rightist, I guess you would say, and more fundamentalist about original sin than any Catholic I've ever met. So, like you guys all know, I
Yeah,
did my master's at BC, and I was never felt like, oh my God, this whole original sin guilt like thing is like, oh my God, I'm being indoctrinated into this cult that believes that. No, like everybody was kind of like, yeah, yeah. I mean, like we kind of said that, but like we're kind of walking it back. It's really not that big of a deal. Like we also believe in, this whole fallen nature, orthodox concept. Like we're not going to discount that as, a soteriological concept that's, holding water. But there are people within the Coptic Church. Like, I never heard this at BC, but I've heard this in the Coptic Church that yes, no, original sin, atonement, and this very fundamentalist.
People?
I will not comment further than I have. I've already overstated my position. So,
well, I
Mitch,
think
just so
it's
we're clear, this isn't a like what
Forget
Sharif
about
did.
the Catholic Church now.
Right. He's like, forget the Catholic Church. What about the heretics within us? And heretics is maybe a strong word.
well, I think it comes from just this, sort of a, late 19th century, 20th century, the Coptic Church basically up until like Cyril the Fourth, from like the sixth or seventh century up to Cyril the Fourth was, very, what's the word? Like horrible, when it comes to, when it comes to either defending its faith or having some kind of coherent or systematic theology. So I think a lot
No,
of,
that's not that I might disagree with you. We
you
have,
might, you might,
or I am disagreeing with you. We have Ambabulus al-Bushi, 10th and 11th century. We have Cyrus ibn Muqaffa. We have uh, on the legal side, Al-Assal, Carlos ibn Luqluq. So this assumption that from 2 centuries after Chalcedon till the 19th century we're in the dark web, that's not right.
well,
Or that's not
listen,
true.
you're going to find outliers, but you're not going to find the vast majority of either clerics or the masses of people who had any, real notion of theology or
Masses
what was
of
right or what
people,
was
yes,
wrong.
but clerics, I think we had.
Okay, so
I think it's not discovered yet. Let's
oh,
put it.
okay, you're right. They're under the sands of Egypt somewhere, saved, with the
Well,
pyramids.
listen,
Yeah,
let me see if I can reconcile the two positions. Like Sharif's giving exceptions, but I think
yeah,
Ralph is declaring the rule, right? And I
yeah,
think by and large,
Mhm.
in the very least, we didn't have the same position in the world of Christianity, right? Where anybody
I
before,
agree.
430 AD that
right.
is cited as a theologian, there's a 50-50 shot they're coming out of Alexandria. And then
Yep.
after 430 AD, yeah, there's, people that we consider to be saints that the rest of the world considers to be schismatics, but that dialogue doesn't continue. And forgive me for saying this, but and this isn't, me speaking ill about my church. I think we're the ones that suffered as a result of that, right? Because
Yeah.
part of
Totally agree.
theology and part
Totally
of
agree.
being part of a church is that dialogue. And when we lost that dialogue with Rome, with Antioch, with Constantinople, with the rest of the world, that's something that, yeah, like from a Alexandrian pride standpoint, like, oh, they're the Umm al-Khasranin, like, it's their loss, like, not to have Alexandria. But genuinely, I think it's our loss to have been isolated that way. So all of those people, Sharif, that you mentioned, yeah, great. Like they're awesome. They're, diamonds in the rough, but where are they in the, international dialogue of Christianity that continued without us? Nowhere.
I
And
agree.
the point I was trying to make is, regardless of the, the outliers, is a lot of, there was a lot of Protestant, evangelism that came into Egypt in the 18th century, the 19th century into the 20th century. And you had the French and the British, and then you had Catholics, so sort of, I think, there was sort of their outlook was towards, Europe for thought on things like original sin, which I think is not orthodox, So it came from probably Protestants and Catholics. But I don't think, if you look at the Russian Orthodox or the Greek Orthodox, that, you know, the concept of what Catholics and Protestants usually think of as original sin is sort of foreign to orthodoxy, unless you guys disagree.
No, no, I think you're
Well, it
100%
depends
right.
on where in history are talking about the
Right.
Greek and Russian theology. Before 1950, 1948 or something, or after, like in the Greek literature, they're talking about the Babylonian exile, where the Greek theologians were kind of more influenced by Westerns, Greek and Russian. And
And
then,
also the reality that the early 20th century was peppered with people converting Copts to Christianity. That's a reality. And our response to that internally was, Archdeacon Habib Girgis and, the Sunday school movement and El Majlis al-Milli and all kinds of things that were movements within the Coptic Church to try to rectify that. I can't remember if he mentioned it in his uh, I Mustache You something interview. But Azar Bestavros, his dad was actually one of the people in the Majlis al and his dad was actually one of the people that was part of this um, renaissance of
Renaissance,
Coptic
yeah.
education in the 1940s. So, maybe we'll bring him back for a conversation one day. But this isn't that far removed from us, where there's people that we consider to be mentors and sometimes even peers who are connected to this directly.
Right.
So,
back
Mitch,
to the
how do you
point,
feel about
if
being part of this?
Me?
Yeah, is this fun?
Dude, you're not gonna talk me out of original sin. So, like that's that's a zero. That's a zero. That's a
Wait,
zero
tell me
chance.
more
Like
about that. Like, go back to that for a second.
so just like
let's go back to Mariology.
No, no,
no,
no,
no,
no. Go
no.
back to original sin for a second. I want to hear this.
So I mean, one is I've talked about before. I'm a rule follower, and it's
Okay.
in our catechism. But the reason, like the what my what Adam and Eve did to create a fall, like throw us into a fallen world and send us out of the garden, affects us all.
Hmm.
Like we live in
Right.
a fallen world. Can we agree? And it was
Yes,
caused by Adam and Eve.
100%.
100%.
Yeah. And that we are descendants from Adam and Eve. Is that correct?
Yes.
100%.
And without baptism, we cannot be cleaned of those sins of the past.
All of that tracks Orthodox.
So tell me the difference.
So the difference is whether the guilt is transmitted or if it's as St. Paul uses the word hamartia in the original Greek in Romans 7 as the power of sin that is over us. So is it the power of sin or is the act of sin? Like which one are we being redeemed from?
I
Again,
wouldn't even,
back to the part of we debate a lot about inheritance, while the inheritance that we inherited now is inheritance of righteousness. So because I had this discussion with multiple servants in Natick in St. Mark over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and the discussion can be very heated. While,
Very, very heated.
while,
What's
Very,
heated
very.
about it? Like what's I don't understand what's heated about it.
Because if somebody
you
takes
know,
somebody's statement of fact as gospel, as
the
stated by some
infallibility.
people. Right. Like and actually Sharif was actually being kind when he was saying that we don't believe in papal infallibility, but we believe in the infallibility of saints. He actually means the infallibility of certain people that we respect in any
Absolutely right. Yeah,
capacity, right?
absolutely
So,
right.
oh, I respect this person, so they can't be wrong.
Right.
But if we believe what some people are purporting to be true, that oh no, it's the act of sin, like Adam's act of sin, not the power of sin, and it's that sin that I'm guilty of, then it sets a whole cascade of things that end up
Right.
being a reason for us to be very, very atonement heavy, very, very guilt heavy, and also there's a temptation, like Sharif said, to fall into this um, uh, understanding of the Immaculate Conception being necessary. But if
Right.
it's the fallenness of sin and it's not the hamartia, the power of sin over us, but the other word is the one that we use in um, our liturgy and in our Agpeya, where we're saying, um, "Forgive us our trespasses," right? So the those which we've committed willingly, those committed unknowingly, knowingly, and unknowing. That one, if you go back, is a different word, right? And that word is like the trespass, like the action of the sin. And that one is not like that's not something that we believe is transmitted, and we're not guilty of that. I don't need to be washed of that. And the idea that Saint Mary and John the Baptist even could potentially not have trespass, right? Have not
Hmm.
actually committed a sin,
Right. Yeah.
but they are still under that power of
Right.
hamartia.
Right. I think, let me quote someone who I think is almost infallible, right? Bob Dylan, right? He's got this song. He did three, like rolling his eyes, Mitch already, right? So he's got, 3 years of Christian albums. He came up with one of these albums has a song called Pressing On. And in Pressing On, he says, I just pulled it up. He said, Temptation's not an easy thing. Adam gave the devil reign. Because he sinned, I got no choice. It runs in my veins. So it's Adam's choice limited our choices. And it's Christ who gives us freedom from sin, right? Without Christ, there is no freedom from sin. So I think that's what Adam did. Adam put us in this stranglehold, like Mina said, with the power of the consequences of his sin running rampant through the world. And Jesus
through death.
freed us from that. But I don't think original sin is a necessary or sufficient thought process for anything doing with the work of Christ or baptism or the work of the Holy Spirit through the sacraments. I don't think you need to have a theology of original sin to still have a coherent understanding of salvation.
And again, as long as we're clear that we're not debating whether original sin as hamartia, like no, like original sin is the power of sin. No, nobody
Yes,
debates that. We just prefer
right,
the term ancestral sin. It's
right.
original sin as paraptoma, the action of the sin, the guilt of the sin. That's the one that we don't believe.
I don't
Um,
carry Adam's guilt. I
exactly,
mean,
exactly.
because that goes against a lot of other
Yeah.
biblical precepts that the sin of the father doesn't go to the child. Like that's a biblical precept from the Old Testament that the sins of the fathers don't carry to the children. So I mean, how could that be a precept in the Old Testament and yet be a foundational understanding of why salvation is necessary?
Interesting.
So yeah, and I think one thing, and I talked with Abuna Dan about this many times over the, I guess, decades now. And most recently, I think he said something very interesting. He said, let's just understand that this is a conversation between the Catholics and the Protestants that we're jumping into,
Right.
right? We're like, to a certain extent, like, we don't even need to answer this question. We're choosing to like, oh, well, let's roll up our
Right.
sleeves and let's jump into the pit when we don't have to. And the only reason that we're being dragged into the conversation is because there's people from within the Coptic Church
Yeah.
that are taking a position on this that's really a modern problem. This is not an ancient question for the Oriental Orthodox Church. Like I said, like this is one of those examples of like not for the worse, but for the better. We were out of the loop. We never had this conversation. Like we
Right.
jumped in like in the 20th century to be like, oh, like you guys are confused about what? Like, oh, we never even really asked that question for better or worse. So we never got the answer right, but we also never got the answer wrong about this. So I go back to the like, and this is a topic for me that if somebody wants to go to war over the word theosis, I'm gonna go, "Oh, okay, like, you can go fight over there. Somebody wants to go to war over original sin and, they want to die on that hill of original sin. And I'm like, like we prefer ancestral sin. And like, if you're going to say original sin, like maybe lowercase o instead of uppercase O, maybe not get, no, no, okay, you want to, fine. But for me, at least it doesn't seem to me like a good investment of time to go to war over some of these things, which I believe um like um faithfully, hopefully, and optimistically on all three levels, in the wisdom, the capital W wisdom of the capital C church, that this will sort itself out in the next 50 to 100 years. Because if it's true, capital T true, then it should last. Just like it has for 2000 years. And if it's just nonsense and people like soapboxing and like, elbowing for
Yeah.
room, then yeah, we could do that for sport like Ralph does. But let's not confuse that with actual spiritual debate conversation. Mitch, thoughts?
Um, I didn't know that there was this debate. I thought it was settled because it's something I like was born with, right? Like this is
Mhm.
like part of it. When we're kids, you're like a teenager, you're like, how could original sin be true? Like little babies haven't done it. And then until you're like, oh, it's actually just like it's contacted, not committed sin. That's a different once that's taught, you're like, okay, that actually makes a lot more sense to me. And then you take it and you go on to the next thing to fight with Catholic Church about. Um, because of the many things, right? The fact that that is a
There's more than enough to go around.
yeah, there's literally a book of it. Thousands and thousands and thousands. Um, it is interesting to me though, like to that's a bigger because to Sharif's point, which I think he was trying making, is the idea of original sin and our alignment to it and like belief that it's and like written that it's true does prop up or create its own things like Mariology get in the way of that. So I think Therese like getting behind the curtain there is interesting. And that leads to the discussion of the assumption, et cetera, to not be even not an argument you need to have until whether this conversation is put forth. So it's a
Hmm.
fair point.
Hmm.
And so that's why my logical conclusions start with original sin, and then Mary is put into that meat grinder of like, what do we do about Mary? And that's where that logical conclusions come from. I don't know if that it's just an int like I guess the question is as a Coptic, you sounds like you're allowed to. You're not like there's no original says or yeah like I the leniency if you can decide for yourself still exists within the Coptic Church, correct? There's not like dogma on
Yeah,
it.
I think, look, I
No,
think,
no,
you know, I
there's
think, I think some people will say, whatever, there are many people who will say, well, you must believe in Noah's Ark and you must believe in a literal 6 days of creation and you must believe, but regardless of what those, regardless of what those people think.
Yeah.
The essentials of the Christian faith are held in the creed, and I think the most interesting form of Christianity is sort of, the origin form of Christianity, the teacher origin, not the origin, that, there are things that we can, think about, and you're free to believe in, as a Copt, you're free to believe in original sin, or you're free to, believe in, Mary being a co-redemptrix, or the Assumption of Mary, or that Mary, you know, sinned or didn't sin. I don't
From
think
where
those
did
are,
you get the assumptions that you are free to believe?
hmm?
Great question.
From where did you get the assumptions that you are free to believe?
Because all I need to believe are the things that I'm told I need to believe by, either through the liturgy or through the church fathers. Everything else, I think, is, you might get a bunch of, Pharisees in the church who will tell you that you need to believe a certain, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but that's never been part of, you know, the reality.
So, Ralph, you are getting to the core of orthodoxy. Yes, I totally agree with you, but actually and factually, that's not the common condition in the Coptic Church.
Hmm.
Who cares?
Mm.
Who cares?
So it's like
Who
the
cares?
speed limit rule, right? If the speed limit's 55, but everyone goes 65, the speed limit's really 65.
Right.
That's what you're getting at. Okay. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Well, because
Like,
we don't
yeah,
have a magisterium in the Coptic Church.
right. Right.
So we
That's a very
got two
important
minutes
part.
left. We got 2 minutes left. I love how we started really hot and ended up really cool. I'll share with you guys that I do think that even though yes, you're allowed to believe whatever you want, and nobody's gonna like stamp you out as a heretic and like excommunicate you
They
for
might still do
having a
that.
certain belief.
Well,
I
it
do think there are
depends. When do you live?
consequences. I do think there are
1990 or
consequences.
2020?
Let Go ahead,
I,
man. Finish up. We got 2 minutes
I
before you
do think there
start
are
something.
I do think there are consequences um, to believing things that are problematic or misleading. And I think if you want to believe in original sin, capital O, and the transmission of sin through Adam and whatnot, but it doesn't put you down that road of, constantly feeling guilty and like, oh, and God isn't, a loving God, and the things that could be problematic when you get too sin centric and too guilt centric, then I think maybe it's a benign thing. But if you do end up facing some of these consequences, then being selective about what things we're going to really harp on as the center of the bullseye and the core of what we believe as Christians versus things that are progressively less and less important that could potentially be misleading. So, who gets the final word here before we sign off for this episode of I Mustache You Something? Mitch, do you want
No, I, it, I'm
it?
good on that.
Ralph? No. All
I
right.
say we continue this in 40 minutes if we got 40 minutes.
I
All right.
can't. I gotta go do dinner and take care of kids and stuff. My kids are young.
Well, we'll see you guys next week then for another episode
Yes,
of
sir.
I Mustache You Something.
Always fun.
Later, all.